I do give a fuck about Hannah Gadsby, though. The Australian comedian Hannah Gadsby, who I've talked about a lot, is back in the news. Why is she back in the news? Because she done did it again, okay? She done did it again like the top of the hour ad break. She came back and done did it again. At the top of the hour, there's a 3-minute ad break. You don't like it, but it happens regardless. If you want to avoid it, all you need to do is subscribe. She's not a right-wing commentator, no. She is the ultimate lib. She's the liberal final boss, as a matter of fact. She is the perfect culmination of this chat and its worst elements as it pertains to comedy. She is the ultimate laughter is automatically racist person. Okay? A while ago, Hannah Gadsby came out with a comedy special called Nanette. At the time, I talked about it. I said it was, kind of ridiculous. I don't really like it. But, it was almost impossible. It was almost impossible to get anybody to fucking be honest about it. Okay? What's funny? Racism? Yes. Censorship. That's kind of funny. An account called Censorship saying, what's funny? Racism? Like cynically acting like that's what I said. That's pretty funny. Anyway, so she came out with a comedy special where she basically talked about how her bits leading up to this comedy special were always about her oppression. Okay? Were always about her oppression. And that comedy, when done by marginalized people, just a heads up, they go by they. Oh, my bad. I genuinely didn't know. Hannah Gadsby, gender pronouns they, them. Okay? Don't ever do that. That's not funny. Fuck you. Take a day off. Hannah's special after the first one are all quite funny. Only the first one to the TED Talk. You literally don't know her content. Okay, well, you don't know her because they go by they, them, apparently. Anyway, listen. I only watched one Hannah Gadsby special, and that was Nanette. That's what put them on the timeline. That's what everyone really appreciated. That's what everybody fucking liked. Okay. In 2018, their show Nanette on Netflix won a Primetime Emmy Award for Outstanding Writing for a Variety Special and a Peabody Award. The special, in and of itself, was talking about how the oppression that the oppression that they experienced was not up for, should not have been trivialized as a joke. Okay? It should not have been trivialized as a joke. They trivialized it themselves while they were making this joke. Okay? While they were making a joke out of their own oppression. And for me, I didn't like it because I think comedy is supposed to be funny, number one. It can be subjective, but this basically was a TED Talk. It was not a comedy special, but it was more so just a TED Talk about why comedy is bad. Because when you make a humorous quip about your own pain and your struggle, other people are laughing at your struggle and they're trivializing it. And so many fucking people looked at that and went, this is the new gospel. This is incredible. This is brilliant. I didn't personally understand it. Okay? They also said individually that they utilize comedy to basically cope with the struggle instead of really internalizing it and really understanding it and getting over it. Okay? That's what it was. Here, let's read some of the, Gadsby created the stand-up show they named Nanette, partly as responsible for public debate which took place in Australia before the law was changed to allow same-sex marriage, and also after their diagnosis of autism. Nanette explores topics such as homophobia, xenophobia, sexism, and gendered violence. Elahe Izadia of the Washington Post states, although Nanette is a comedy, Gadsby insists the audience recognize the dark truth of trauma and assault. That's all you need to know. During the show, Gadsby says they are quitting comedy, which apparently they didn't, for the record. In a review of Time Out of their next show, Douglas, Ben Nutze wrote, yes, it was funny, but Gadsby's main objective was to deliver a furious takedown of heterosexual patriarchy. So I would say that, like, most of what they did is, woke TED Talks, okay? Chat, you are allowed to like Nanette. Hasan didn't like it. Chill. I'll tell you why I didn't like it, okay? Because comedy is supposed to, one, be funny, very subjective, but two, comedy can be informative. Comedy can be instructive. Comedy can have the capability of being educational. Comedy can, on the one hand, trivialize struggle and trauma, but also on the other hand, create an opportunity for people to empathize with that struggle and trauma. But that is really hard. Okay, that's really hard to do. Not many can do it. Okay? So I don't know. I mean, that's precisely the reason why I also liken Dave Chappelle's new work to basically fucking right-wing Hannah Gadsby, where he's like, oh, trans people fucking suck, and you can't say anything about them, and then you expect the people to applaud. They're not laughing, they're applauding. Why are they applauding? Because they agree with you. Good comedy, especially comedy that is supposed to be political, engages in cultural and social commentary, political commentary. And that political commentary is not always supposed to be directly something that you agree with. Good comedy can make you laugh at something that you normally wouldn't even agree with. Okay? So ultimately, I didn't appreciate it because it was, it was just anti-comedy on its face. And I like comedy. That's it. That's why I didn't like it. But I'm here for it because apparently Hannah Gadsby, who at the time was like celebrated as a hero, has a Sackler-tied Brooklyn art show where they talk about how every billionaire is fucked up. I was assured that they'd separated from the opioid strain, the comedian said. Take that with a grain of salt. Comedian Hannah Gadsby is speaking up about the controversial ties the Sackler family has to their upcoming art show. Gadsby uses they-them pronouns, co-creates the exhibit It's Pablo-Matic, Picasso according to Hannah Gadsby at the Brooklyn Museum, a show dedicated to unwrapping the complicated legacy of the artist. So the show is supposed to talk about how Pablo Picasso is problematic. The program's curators also include Catherine Morris, Sackler's senior curator for the Elizabeth A. Sackler Center for Feminist Arts. I'm doing a show at the Brooklyn Museum. There's one Sackler on the board. We vetted this. Apparently, they've separated their earning streams from the problematic one, Gadsby told Variety. I mean, take that with a grain of salt. Doesn't matter what cultural institution you work with in America, you're going to be working with billionaires, and there's not a billionaire on this planet that is not fucked up. It is just morally reprehensible. I mean, yeah. True. Good comedy is not subjective. Good comedy is truth. What? No, I don't agree with that either. What do you mean? Like, I will go back to the same argument that I always make. A person farting on a dog is fucking hilarious. There's nothing truthful about that, though. That act in and of itself is just funny. Okay? And I will laugh at that. You might not, which is why I say it's subjective. But it's certainly not truthful. Like, what kind of real grim realities are you addressing when you see a dude walk up to a dog and fart on the dog? So, New York Times wrote an article about it. Jason Farago. If you studied art history or another one of the humanities in the 1990s or 2000s, say if you're around the age of the Australian comic Hannah Gadsby, 45, you may remember the word problematic from your long ago seminar days. Back then, it was a voguish noun borrowed from the French that described the unconscious structure of an ideology or text. Soon, though, like so many other efforts to think critically, the problematic got left behind in this century's great shift from reading to scrolling. These days, we encounter problematic exclusively as an adjective, an offhand judgment of moral disapproval from a speaker who can't be bothered by precision. A whole cast of professional art workers, conservators, designers, guards, technicians has been roped in to produce It's Pablo-Matic, Pablo Picasso, according to Hannah Gadsby, a small exhibition opening Friday at the Brooklyn Museum. It's a title so silly I cannot even type it. I am cutting and pasting. The show, one of many worldwide time to the 50th anniversary of the Spanish artist's death, is essentially a light amusement following on from Nanette. Gadsby riffed on having barely graduated from an art history degree at the bachelor's level and attempted to take down the Spanish artist. He's rotten in the face cavity. I hate Picasso. I hate him. Now this entertainer has come through the museum doors, but if you thought Gadsby had something to say about Picasso, the only good joke of the day is in fact on you. Like the noun turned adjective problematic, this new exhibition backs away from close looking for the affirmative comforts of social justice themed pop culture. At the Brooklyn Museum, you will find very few paintings by Picasso, plus 2 little sculptures and a selection of works on paper, suffixed with tame quips by Gadsby on adjacent tables. Around and nearby are works of art made by women, almost all made after Picasso's death in 1973. Finally, in a vestibule, clips from Nanette play on a loop. That's the whole exhibition, and anyone who was expecting this to be a Netflix declension of the degenerate art show with poor patriarchal Picasso as ritualized scapegoat can rest easy. There's little to see. There's no catalog to read. The ambitions here are at GIF level, though perhaps that is the point. So it's just hacky. And if it was actually done, in my opinion, as like this massive 5D chess move to say all of this like constant seeking, like this constant moralizing of like art culture or art or artistic interpretation and like who the artist was and what their own personal affairs were. If it was like a performance art in and of itself, then it in a way it could be kind of brilliant, where you could just say like, look, it's that easy to dupe you motherfuckers. I just slapped on problematic to Pablo Picasso's legacy and got you to like look at, you know, something that's not Pablo Picasso, and it's that easy to dupe you motherfuckers into buying into this shit. Okay? Then there it is. You know, I guess. Anyway, so far it has an argument, a problematic. It goes like this. Pablo Picasso was an important artist. He was also something of a jerk around women. And women are more than goddesses or doormats, as Picasso brutally had it. Women, too, have stories to tell. I wish there was more to inform you of, but that's really about the size of it. All the feminist scholarship for the last 50 years about repressed desire, about phallic instability, or even just about the lives of the women Picasso loved is put to one side in favor of what really matters, your feelings. Admiration and anger can coexist, a text at the show's entrance reassures us. That Picasso, probably the most written about painter in history, was both a great artist and not so great guy, is so far from being news as to qualify as climate. What matters is what you do with that friction. It's Pablo-Matic does not do much. For a start, it doesn't assemble many things to look at. The actual number of paintings by Picasso here is just 8. 7 were borrowed from the Musée Picasso in Paris, which has been supporting shows worldwide for this anniversary. 1 belongs to the Brooklyn Museum. None is first rate. There are no other institutional loans besides a few prints brought over the river from MoMA. What you will see here by Picasso are mostly modest etchings, and even these barely display stylistic breadth. More than 24 sheets come from a single portfolio, the neoclassical Voyard suite of the 1930s. Unsigned texts in each gallery provide basic invocations of gender discrimination in art museums, or the colonial legacy of European modern art, while next to individual works, Gadsby offers signed banter. These labels function a bit like bathroom graffiti, or maybe Instagram captions. Besides one classicizing print of Picasso and his lover, Marie-Thérèse Walter, I'm so virile my chest hair just exploded. Besides the reclining nude, is she actually reclining? Or had she just been dropped from a great height? 10 paragraphs about what he was bad, but what did he do? I don't know. I think he was like shitty to women, which, you know, a bit of a shocker. Anyway, I'm being sarcastic. There's a fixation throughout on genitals and bodily functions. Each sphincter, each phallus is called out with adolescent excitement, with adolescent vocabulary too. What jokes there are. Meta, hardly know her. Remain juvenile enough to leave Picasso unscathed. I mean, I feel like this guy getting upset about it is also kind of weird and lame. You know what I mean? Like, I thought this was going to be a scathing article. He was an abuser and a womanizer. He sexually assaulted a few women, actually. This article is downplaying it big time. Liberals are just as unfunny as conservatives when they're trying to be funny. Yeah. If I was Picasso, I would haunt Hannah Gadsby. Is he just annoying that it was a waste of time? I mean, this is an art critic, so this is looking at it. This is looking at it from the perspective of, like, I guess it not meeting the standards of like an art show, and that's mostly why he's mad. He also probably doesn't really care that Picasso was like a rapist. If he was, I don't know. Maybe he probably. I don't disbelieve you when you say it. Just saying I don't know. So I think that's what he's like mad about for the most part. Isn't criticizing her for a museum having a Sackler on board is kind of like criticizing you for working for Bezos? No, because her doing an art exhibition with the whitewashing PR branch of the Sackler family, which is how billionaires do fucking whitewashing, is entirely different than like literally everyone working for a billionaire. What the fuck? Anyway. Oh, my fucking back hurts so bad. Instead, its problematic contents itself to stern works by women from the Brooklyn Museum collection. These seem to have been selected more or less at random, including a lithograph by Kath Kolwitz, a photograph by Anna Mendieta, an assemblage by Bet Yassar. The elevation of stories over art, at least comedy, was a principal thrust of Nanette, a Sydney stand-up routine which became American viral success during the last presidency. Shortly after the wrongdoings of Harvey Weinstein were finally exposed, Nanette proposed a therapeutic purpose for culture, rejecting trauma of telling jokes in favor of three-act resolution of stories. It directly analogized Picasso to then-President Trump. The greatest artist of the 20th century. Let's make art great again, guys. It even averred that Picasso, and by extension, all the old masters, suffer from the mental illness of misogyny. Given this pathologization of Picasso, it is very intriguing that Gadsby had described the Brooklyn Museum show as their own deeply desired act of sexual violence against a man from Malaysia, telling Variety, "I really want to stick one up him." Farting on dogs. I mean, objectively, that's like way funnier and does more for the medium than both this New York Times article or anything that Hannah Gadsby has ever made. They're all covering the same cloth. Anyway, most bizarrely, the routine rested on the condemnation of art as an elite swindle, and modernism got it particularly hard. Cubism went Gadsby's mocking refrain to reliable audience laughter. As it is, Picasso's own Cubist art appears at the Brooklyn Museum through a single 6 by 4.5 inch engraving. The sarcasm from a comedian with moderate art historical bona fides had a purpose. It gave Gadsby's audience permission to believe that avant-garde painting was actually a big scam. They're all cut from the same cloth, Gadsby told the audience in Nanette. Donald Trump, Pablo Picasso, Harvey Weinstein. Why do they hate Pablo Picasso? I think this was the actual one that was a good review. Like, this was the one I think I saw Noah post. Is not the show's problem, if you will, is not its revisionary mindset, which justly sets apart from all the other celebratory Picasso shows being staged this year to mark the 50th anniversary of his death, that it's the appropriate lens for discussing much of Picasso's oeuvre in 2023. It is instead the show's disregard for art history, the discipline that Gadsby studied, practiced, and abandoned after becoming frustrated with his patriarchal roots. The problems begin before you even enter the first gallery. Above the loud red signage on the museum's ground floor, There's a 26-foot long painting by Cecily Brown, featuring an orgy of brushy forms set against a fiery background. The painting looks back to the bacchanalia of Rococo painting at the intensity of Eugene Delacroix's hues. It has little to say about Picasso, an artist whom Brown has spoken of admiringly. Inside the show, there's Joe Baker's birthday, Faith Ringgold print featuring reclining Josephine Baker beside a bowl of ripe peaches. It's a direct allusion to the paintings by Henri Matisse, like Odalisque Cochet aux Magnolias, not to Picasso. A better Ringgold selection would have been her 1991 quilt Picasso Studio, which takes on the artist more directly. Likewise, there is Nina Chanel Abney's Foreign Fruit, in which a group of picnickers are seated around and atop watermelons. It's a composition that specifically recalls Edouard Manet's Déjeuner sur l'herbe, not any particular Picasso painting. Oh, okay, so this is a little bit more direct. The criticisms are, I know that's not how you pronounce Urv, but I don't know how either, so here we are. No, it is Urv. Urv. Isn't that how it is? It's basically saying Hannah Gadsby doesn't know what the fuck they're talking about and haphazardly put this together when there were much better when there was a much better statement to be made that could have also showed exhibited a deeper understanding of art history by making works of art more relevant to Pablo Picasso while also simultaneously criticizing them or him. Sorry, fuck.
Œuvre.
Okay, oeuvre is in French though. In English, you're supposed to fuck it up a little bit. Ironically, one of the few Picasso-focused works comes courtesy of Gadsby themselves. Is Picasso's large bather with a book, depicting blocky boulder-like figure crumpled over an open volume. Picasso once said it took him 4 years to paint like Raphael, but a lifetime to paint like a child. Gadsby writes in the wall of text, well, I don't want to call myself a genius, but it did only take me 4 years to be as funny as Raphael. Funny is debatable, but comedy is used as a curatorial device throughout the show. Gadsby's quotes, which are printed above more serious art historical musings, are larded with the language of Twitter. Weird flex, reads one appended to Picasso print. Oh, ew. No. Oh, God. Oh, my God. This is like a Brad Trammell joke. Oh, my God. This literally reads like a Brad Trammell joke. I'm losing my fucking mind. Hold on. I'm sure he's made a joke about this already. Yeah, he did this. I saw this morning. But I thought maybe there was something else. TFW, that feeling when the art curator is curating an art exhibition and the art is not good. Big oof / yikes. MFW, my face went. Someone says men artists are better than women artists. Or really, sweetie? When you are an artist inside your art studio and your art studio mate says, bro, can I borrow a paint tube for my own art? And he is not trustworthy. Big oof. When the alcohol is gone from the art opening after party at Larry Gagosian's art gallery. And drugs. Wait, this is unironic? No, this is satire making fun of, like, this is commentary. It's satire making fun of Hannah Gadsby's utilization of meme culture. Art world memes are an incredible way to speak truth to power. Sure, they might be a little naughty. By the way, this continues the satire, for the record. Sure, they might be a little naughty, and some might even have you asking, can they say that? But that's just the nature of the game when you're speaking straight facts. I think of art world meme makers as brave tricksters holding up a mirror to a powerful institutions, and guess what? Sometimes those big shot institutions don't like what they see. Too bad. The only reason memes like these are so darn relatable is because they say the quiet part loud, even when we don't want to hear it. So for that, I say thank you to every art world meme creator for making this dumpster fire we call home a little more bearable and bringing a smile to my face. So this is supposed to be ironic for those of you who don't understand it. These posts are making fun of and that post, like the description in of itself, is making fun of the way that Hannah Gadsby was utilizing meme culture. When you are an artist inside your art studio and you're doing illegal drugs with bohemians and then say, bro, sculptures are 3D paintings. Anyway, let's get back to this. Weird Flex reads one appended to a Picasso print of a nude woman caressing a sculpture of a naked chiseled man. Don't you hate it when you look like you belong in a Dickens novel but end up in a mosh pit at Burning Man? Hashtag me too. Oh, God. Oh, my God. Reads another that goes with a print showing a minotaur barging into a crowded, darkened space. This sums up the story. That's such a cute fucking photo. Jesus Christ. Most of the works in this show are by Picasso, strangely enough. This in itself constitutes an issue. You can't recenter art history if you're still centering Picasso. But if the curators must, they have at least brought some impressive works to the U.S. for the exhibition. There are several paintings on loan from Musée National Picasso in Paris, some of which are enlisted in savvy ways. One of them, Corrida, La Mort de la Femme Torero Bullfighting, Death of the Female Bullfighter, from 1933, shows a woman tumbling across two colliding bulls. Upon impact, her breasts spill out, lending the scene an unseemly erotic quality that courses through so many of the Picasso works in this show. It's all the more disturbing to learn that this female toreador was based on Marie-Thérèse Walter, who was romantically involved with Picasso at the time. I agree with the creator's assessment that this painting emblemizes Picasso's brutal tendencies. I only wish it wasn't paired with this quote from Gadsby. If PETA can't cancel Picasso, ... no one can. It was a joke? Yeah, no shit, it's a joke. We're laughing because of the attempt that was made here. That's the point. This is literally weaponized cringe. This is like the TikTok of that one girl that everyone in Hoscord uses all the fucking time. Where it's like the one with the lollipop or whatever. That literally is the TikTok version of this. Bianca Scaglione. It's key that the show repeatedly references Gillot and Walter, as well as other women from Picasso's love life, like the artist Dora Maar and the dancer Olga Koklova. These women were previously written off as Picasso's muses, and it's Pablo-Matic to suggest that historians still have trouble talking about them. While the show is frank about the negative aspects of these women's relationships with the artist, they are always discussed within the context of Picasso, who continues to exert a strong gravitational pull. I detected the disingenuous sentiment amid it all. Gillot and Maar both produce art of note. Where was that in this show? It would have been instructive to see their work placed on equal footing with Picasso's, or, for that matter, pretty much any female modernist. The only ones who make the cut are Kathy Kollwitz and Maria Martins, both of whom are represented by unremarkable examples of their remarkable oeuvres. These women didn't make it into history books for a long time, and the subject of Kalida Dolan's Improved Jansen, A Woman on Every Page, a piece included in this show. The work takes the form of famed art history textbook that has, in every one of its pages, a vaginal oval cut out of it. An image of Picasso's Demolières d'Avignon was sliced by Dulin during the work's making. Its lower left-hand corner now lopped off. Dulin's work is about removal. She leaves parts of Jansen's book absent to make clear that women artists for so many centuries were kept out of the picture. This was a painful, violent elision, and Dulin makes steps towards rectifying the carnage by acknowledging all that contributed to it. If only Gadsby had done the same. Why does this show contort art history? There are numerous Picasso works here that portray threesomes, rapes, and bestiality. The wall text doesn't hide sources of these images, Ovid's poetry, Greek mythology. When Picasso represented a minotaur kneeling over a nude, sleeping woman who can't consent, he was glorifying sexual assault, using classical art as a limp justification. He was hardly the first male artist to do that. However, Bernini, Titian, Correggio, Poussin, and many more did it too. Yet this exhibition directs its aim only at Picasso. Many of the women in this exhibition are responding to centuries of misogyny, not just by Picasso's. Betty Tompkins has a grand Grisel painting showing an erect penis entering vagina in a close-up. An image recalls a certain Gustave Courbet work, while Joan Semmel takes a lighter approach. Are they making this up or is it true? Some of you have never actually been to a fucking art history museum or art museum in general, and it shows. Yes, I've said this before. It's the only thing I know about art history that I used to flex all the time. But like every new artist of every generation, Impressionist is the one I use regularly, is seen as degenerates from the prior generation. Don't say we're kind of poor. Art museums are, in many instances, free. Shut the fuck up. Okay? You literally voluntarily give donations to many of these art museums that you can go to. Okay? Sometimes they're free on the weekends, and many of them are free for students. So the idea that you are not rich enough to go to an art museum is silly. You're just not rich enough to buy the art, which none of us are, including myself. Okay? Anyway, but the point is this, okay? All manner of new art, this is the one thing that I know, is that all manner of new art is seen as degenerate by the broader audiences at the time, even though when we look back at it in the future with our modern interpretation, we recognize them as groundbreaking pioneers, okay? Bro, isn't your mom an art history teacher? Yes, but that's besides the point, okay? My point is this. Impressionists were seen as degenerates for introducing the concept of female nudity that went beyond angels and biblical figures. Everything before Impressionists, whenever you saw any kind of nudity, any kind of female nudity, it was always only allowed for biblical figures, okay? And it was seen completely as a degenerate thing to like draw prostitutes that were nude. Like draw a prostitute woman that is nude was like unimaginable. Everyone was like, "What the fuck? That's crazy. How dare you do that? That's disgusting." It's not a deity. It's not allowed. But that was seen as like groundbreaking. It was seen as revolutionary because it broke down previous barriers that people thought were unimaginable. Why did I bring this up? Because that's, it's just art history shit. But that understanding should guide you whenever you look at a person that's trying to, break new grounds with their art. Okay? Because you want to flex, that's why you brought it up. I want to flex. That's why I brought it up in a fucking artnews.com article that I'm reading about from an art critic. What? This is like the most significant time to bring it up. Also, it's not really a flex. It's only a flex if you think being a fucking weird art nerd is a flex. Okay, which I'm not. This is just like the only thing I know. But the reason why I brought it up is because, like, if you think, like, this stuff is crazy, right? Like, a penis and a vagina, like, what the fuck? Then you haven't really seen a lot more art, a lot of art, because many of it is like this. It's like, it's the human condition, and what is more carnal than nudity and fucking? Anyway, let's continue. While Joan Semmel takes a lighter approach while painting a post-coital couple shown from the woman's point of view, Gada Amer is showing a terrific embroidered work in which pools of red thread reveal pairs of splayed open women legs. And Rachel Kneebone has a porcelain piece that looks like a fountain of limbs. There's no specific reference point in these works because the male gaze is omnipotent. It wasn't only found in Picasso's studio. Final gallery, the sole one without any Picasso works in it, brings its Pablo-Matic into even squishier territory. There are some great works here. There are Birnbaum's classic video skewering Wonder Woman, an Anna Mendieta photograph of an abstracted female from form sculpted into the ground. Dindga McCannon's painting of a multi-hued revolutionary with real bullets fixed onto the canvas, but they have almost nothing in common, besides the fact that they were all owned by the Brooklyn Museum. The supplement to this exhibition, available on the Bloomberg Connects app, includes an interview with one artist in this gallery, Harmony Hammond. Asked about her feelings on Picasso, she says, "Truth be told, I don't think about Picasso and his work. It would have been nice to have more artists who were thinking about Picasso or whose work at least has something to do with him. But this seems like too much to ask from the curators, especially Gadsby, who greets that line of thinking with a big fat raspberry. Humans are not doing great," they say on the audio guide. "We are unsettled. I blame Picasso. That's a little joke. Or is it? I don't know." Best part of this is that it's funded by the Sacklers. Yeah, of course. It's almost like people in the Middle Ages had to draw boobs so they had something to jerk off to. We are fortunate. That's why people don't do that today, though. That would be very weird. I know. It would be very weird if someone were to draw his own titties to jerk off to, right? You fucking asshole. Why does everything have to be about making fun of me, huh? Yeah, I did that. Am I ashamed of it? No. I talk about it proudly. Why? Because it was a work of art that basically shows you the grim realities of censorship and a young boy, a young hormonal boy, and the trials and tribulations that he went through in his desperate conquest to find porn to jerk off to. Okay? Fuck you. The Brooklyn Museum is always putting out low quality bullshit. No. Pablo-Matic, boyfriend, Ruth Condon, girlfriend. This is so good.